So, what can we do to actually make the brand sets meaningful within the current state of the game? Already did a video on this saying that they're basically doing it wrong, and I will stand by this. I've had a lot of people being like, oh, you always think the sky is falling. No, I think these are dumb decisions. For example, Guard here. They already said that they're going to do two changes. They said they're going to up this from 10% health, which is useless, to 20% health, which is useless. The only way in which health could be of any value at this point is if we get something like this, which they're obviously not going to do, and this then leads us back into the same problems of why they nerfed the health on the SHD watch, or well, added a cap to the SHD watch in the first place. So yeah, the whole health value thing, stupid. The next thing they said they're going to do to Guard is they're making the 3-piece to 3% armor regen. Now, don't get me wrong, this is very strong, and by itself it is going to be very powerful. However, if we now add in 1-piece Bellstone, which they didn't actually mention other than changing incoming repairs to 30%, which again, useless. Brilliant. Cheers, game. Cheers, devs. So yeah, already, still, the 3-piece Bellstone is kind of stupid. Still. 1 and 2-piece, go for it, depending on how you want to build. 1-piece, definitely. But now, if we look at 1% armor regen, 3% armor regen, and then just, I don't know, just a lot of people are imagining that the 1% armor regen on Golem is going to get changed to 2%, right? That's now 6% armor regen. If we now add in the PvP scenario, is it 40 to 80% damage mitigation from Eagle Bearer after getting a kill, and then add in Adrenaline Rush for 30% bonus, 10 to 30% bonus armor. Yeah, damage mitigation, bonus armor, and 6% regen. Yeah, PvP is going to become a fucking toxic hellhole. I'd be surprised if you could kill someone running Adrenaline Rush, 6% armor regen, and then, like, Adrenaline Rush, another 30% armor. Like, you're going to have a really, really hard time dealing with them, because whatever damage you can put into them, the moment Adrenaline Rush refreshes and reprocs, if they're within range of you, they're going to get a ton of regen. So you're not going to have a good time. So, this is what I mean by they're doing it wrong. What can we add to this? And I do mean literally add, like fucking like health can get gone. Health can get gone. All of the incoming repairs, crap can probably get gone. Like, we don't really need them in the current state of the game. Upping their values isn't going to be of any benefit. So, what can we do to a lot of these to actually help the state of the game and promote more build diversity? That's going to be like the key thing. So, I came up with this. 511, 10% Hasbro, 10% PFE, 20% threat. I'm not sure what value the threat should be, but I've put 20% in thinking that would be fine. We already have a threat counter in the game, the decoy. Okay, having PFE allows tank builds to tank a little bit better, as well as threat. You can actually be a tank. You can generate the aggro to keep the damage coming to you rather than your team. Badger Tough, 10% shotgun damage, 10% armor on kill, 20% reload. Shotguns have a problem with reload, especially things like the MH70, KSG, and Super 90. Getting some more reload on there would be more beneficial. Bellstone, 1% armor. I've put 10% total armor. Could also be 10% armor on kill. Haven't really quite figured it out yet. And then 20% threat. Brazos, skill haste, skill tier, skill damage. That magazine size is basically null and void at this point. Guard, 5% total armor. It could also be 10%. This isn't like a final version. This is just my proposal, as well as to show what I actually meant by a lot of the brand set changes being bloody stupid. So, after that, we can Guard, because obviously it runs perfect Vanguard. Let's actually invest into this side of things. 50% shield health, and we're still going to stick with 1% armor regen. Golan, get rid of its 1% armor regen at the start and put it to the 2-piece, but we can have 10% PFE and then some more total armor. Habsburg, I would like to change the armor core, but balance. 15% headshot, 15% marksman rifle, 5% detox. Oh my god, we have choices, and it now competes with a Rowdy, who I've also upped from 10% MMR to 15, and I haven't changed the rest. 15% headshot, 15% damage to armor. Oh look, if you run 3-piece Habsburg, 3-piece Rowdy, you actually already have a decent build. Lengmo, let's stick with explosives, okay? 20% explosive resistance, 10% skill health, 15% explosive damage. Uzina, 10% armor on kill. A red core. We already getting skill tiers. Can we get a red core? I feel like Uzina would benefit greatly from an extra red core, as well as it might also alleviate a lot of pressure from people trying to find their unicorn closers. And then hazard protection. Yo, the only thing I've done is upped it from 5% weapon damage to 10%. Alps, as well as China Light, I haven't changed at all. Electric, status effect, skill haste, and then hazard protection. I wanted to get hazard protection on the 3-piece to at least try and make a 3-piece worthwhile. And I've also put it to 20% hazard protection because it was 20% electricity protection for some stupid reason. Empress International, I've marked it in black because do not touch it. It already has a monopoly on skill builds, so upping this from 10 to 20 is you're literally just going to basically make a lot of this, as well as the overall variety that you could do with these, redundant. So do not touch Empress. Hanayu. Skill haste, skill damage, 10% crit chance. Might seem like a weird one, but when you think about the named backpack, it actually kind of makes sense. You actually now have a reason to invest into 3-piece Hanayu with its named backpack force multiplier. Murakami, 20% skill duration, 20% skill repair, and I've put 3% armor regen in here. One, because of Emperor's Guard, I kind of feel like it would be funny, but also if you are going to very, very heavily invest into the Murakami, one, you need to get a unicorn Murakami piece, which is going to be Emperor's Guard. Two, you're also going to be stuck with 20% skill duration and 20% repair skill, which obviously is not also going to be the best for either PvP or PvE, but you can get up to 4% armor regen if you have the Murakami named knees. Richter and Kaiser, 20% incoming repairs, a blue core. Let's heavily invest into the shield. I also feel like we need to change the shield scaling a little bit, but we'll get into that at another point, maybe. But give us a blue core here, and then 10% skill haste. Wyvern, we haven't changed. Onto Araldi, like I said, we've upped the MMR damage from 10 to 15. Cheska, 10% crit chance, 10% Haspro. I actually can't remember what it originally was, but we're going to go with 10% rate of fire. This now gives us a reason to actually invest in more Cheska. Douglas and Harding, pistol damage, crit chance, 5% detox. This actually gives a lot of pistol builds a lot of variety. We have many other sources of weapon handling, so we don't really need accuracy and stability. I kind of feel like accuracy and stability rolls should just get gone. Give us weapon handling. It's a much more efficient way to do it, as well as it's more beneficial to the player. Fenris, 10% AR, 10% rate of fire, 5% detox. Problem solved. Grupo, I didn't change at all. I kind of feel like it's in a pretty good place. I'm aware there's going to be a lot of contention about the explosive damage, but I really do feel like if we start messing around with too much of the builds, especially with things like mortar builds, all you're going to do is get on people's nerves. Petrov, 10% LMG, 50% chance to not suppress the target, which I feel like is a good thing, and then 20% weapon handling. This would actually put LMGs back on the map. Admittedly, I would like to just get fully rid of the suppress mechanic, and I'd like to put bullet penetration here, which I feel like LMGs would benefit from greatly. They've already said they're not going to touch Providence. Overlord, 10% rifle damage, 20% handling, and a 3% chance to do 10 times your damage. This would put every rifle on the map. Like, you wouldn't even have to touch rifles. I mean, you hopefully should, because some of the handling is terrible. But look, if you just change this, you could literally just forget about rifles. Like, don't touch them. They're all going to be ridiculously powerful. Sokolov, because it's SMG, they come with a lot of crit chance anyway, so having like a crit chance as a third roll is a bit weird. So I've gone with SMG damage, critical hit damage, and then threat. Oh, we could make a tanky SMG build with all that crit chance that we have. With Walker and Harris, I've upped the weapon damage to 10%. I kind of feel like this, like Walker and Harris could be pretty OP now, like as a 3-piece bonus. However, I only really did it because we upped Jarl to 10%, right? I am sorry to tell you, although this might not be perfect and I'm still figuring it out, this, as a brand set bonus tree, is infinitely fucking better than whatever the hell was going on in here. Like, incoming repairs, who cares? Health, who cares? Like, just some of it, like, Lengmo overall. Explosive, skill, health, LMG damage. What? So if I want to get extra LMG damage, I have to invest into essentially 2 useless stats for what I'm trying to do. As well as the LMG damage here is weirdly 15, but on actual Petrov, the LMG set, it's 10. Like, I don't get it. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, this is stupid. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.